Hello, my name is Brendon McDonald, and welcome to this episode of my movie review show. Every couple of weeks, I will be going through a few topical movies and evaluating them, and then at the end of the show, I will give my rundown evaluation of every single movie I covered, as well as possibly covering a new video or a straight-to-streaming release that I would recommend.
On Earth, nothing was working out, and I wanted to get the hell out of there.
You're applying to be an expendable?
You read through the paperwork?
Yeah. I should have read through it.
So, on to the first movie, which is Mickey 17. This is the new movie by director Bong Joon-Ho, who is primarily known for his South Korean movies, Parasite, Memories of Murder, Mother, The Host, but has also crossed over into the American markets with semi-hits like Snowpiercer and Okja, and he resurges in the American markets with this sort of offbeat, quirky, eccentric science fiction movie based on a 2022 novel by Edward Ashton titled Mickey 7. It stars Robert Pattinson as Mickey, our central character, who enlists as an expendable. And essentially what an expendable means is you are a person who gets cloned or allows the government to clone your biometric information. It keeps a record of it, and they get to basically continuously regrow your body when you die due to experimentation on an alien planet that the government wants to colonize and sort of relocate as a new habitat for Earth. And so we see the comical misadventures of Mickey going on to this planet for an expedition, testing whether the environment is actually safe for humanity. He has multiple deaths where the environment just sort of eats at him, causes him to melt out blood. And also he encounters very hostile wildlife and very insecure tectonic plating. All these kinds of comical misadventures. And so it sort of draws him into this conspiratorial web where the main villain of the movie, played by Mark Ruffalo, and the main villainess of the movie, played by Toni Collette, they are sort of a very non-subtle representation or allusion to Donald Trump and Melania Trump, obviously. So Mickey and his girlfriend Nasha and his other friend Timo, they team up to sort of put an end to Mark Ruffalo's ultimate end goal, which is to colonize the planet that Mickey was already hired to investigate, and also to save this alien species on the planet that actually helped Mickey out in the past. What I would say about the movie is that it's very much, it's not something that you would typically expect from Bong. He's very much, he's having fun. But not in a way that you can say is precise or interestingly weird. It's just very broad and also very sloppy, and also extremely, what I will say about it is it's very obvious in what it tries to critique politically. The visuals of the movie aren't particularly striking. Bong Joon-Ho has never been, in my opinion, he's never been a guy who has flourished in his visuals. He's a very competent director visually, but it's always sort of been his performances and the pacing of his movies that stood out a lot, especially in Parasite and Memories of Murder. But yeah, the performances in this movie are okay. None of them really stood out as exceptional. I guess the closest would be Robert Pattinson. But really, the thing that lets this movie down is the pacing, which might be the worst I've encountered with Bong Joon-Ho ever. Like, there's just something about it where, first off, he employs a technique that I'm really starting to get on my nerves, where the movie will start in media res, in the middle of the action, which means that everything preceding it will start to have this sort of element of redundancy and boredom, because it's just like, oh, I know where this is leading, right? You know what I'm talking about. And it's just like the actual characters are not strong enough to sustain it, really. It's really in the second half where I find my interest, because the second half actually gets into the one element in the movie that I really like, which is the actual alien creatures themselves, the creepers. They are an interesting little bunch of critters. They're CG. I mean, you could tell it's CG, but they have enough character and personality in the presentation where I don't care. I just wanted to I wanted to be exposed to them more. Like, it's just there's something about the way they communicate with each other and how they behave, like in a hive mind, that I really enjoy. And they have, shockingly, they have more complexity than any other character in this movie. Like, the borderline disposable alien creatures have more humanity and complexity in them than a character played by Robert Pattinson and Stephen Ewan. It's kind of, I don't want to call it shocking, because I didn't expect something exceptional out of this. The trailers may have to be just a sort of lightweight comedy, really. But it's just not funny. That's one of the big problems, is I laughed maybe twice. I audibly laughed twice. And for a movie that is over 2 hours long, that's a big problem. That's a huge problem. But yeah, generally the visuals are fine. The performances are okay. Nothing stands out as particularly bad, although Mark Ruffalo, I want him to stop with his quirky, eccentric attitude, because I'm just getting sick of it. I'm getting sick of him taking on the performances like these, and I've only seen him do this twice recently, so it's just, ugh. Go back to being a normal guy. Seriously. I'd say this is okay. It's passable. It's adequate. Everything is executed at a level that I would say is passable, but I really am disappointed because I wish it was so much better. 6 out of 10. Has some enjoyability to it, but I'm just really disappointed.
I've been asked to make this personal, so I will. Something terrible may happen.
Atom Egoyan is back. His first movie since 2019. For those of you who don't know, Atom Egoyan is the famed and revered Canadian director behind movies like Exotica, the adaptation of The Sweet Hereafter, Chloe, The Adjuster, and he brings us something that's more in line with his 90s work this time, because in the 2010s he got caught up in all types of nonsense. We follow Janine, who is a theater director who is attempting to remount the opera Salome that was previously directed by her passed away mentor. She is far away from her home, and this remounting of this opera causes her to relive and confront the traumas of her past, as well as see how that trauma and those experiences have influenced her and the events around her occurring during the remounting of this opera.
I think it would make sense if Amber, you scrambled around trying to pick these up.
I'd rather stay here and watch.
Janine, you can't just have tangerines rolling into the orchestra pit.
They're going.
I'm sorry, I don't understand what my wife is doing. Who's chopping the head off?
Well, that's not clear. Maybe both of you.
Well, it doesn't take two people to chop a head off. Normally there's an axe. Now there's a machete. They've just sent down a guard who's been told to do that.
And now the both of you have to take full responsibility for what you're doing.
I'm sorry. I don't understand.
You don't have to understand. You just have to trust that this is what you have to do. Salome danced because she had something to say, not because she had to prove anything to anybody.
So this movie is exceptional, I would say. This is the first Atom Egoyan work I've seen in a while that really had me attentive and engaged, I would say. It's very enigmatic in terms of how it presents its details and in terms of how the actors decide to play it, especially Amanda Seyfried, returning to collaborate with Atom Egoyan after all this time. It's really interesting how she plays it in this very emotionally detached and guarded way, where she's justified in how she behaves, but it's also really off-putting in a way, because she behaves with a sort of propensity to act sort of like how her father behaved when subjecting her to the things that he did in her past. And also very much expressing the type of feelings that she was experiencing during the filming of those segments that were used in the original opera. It's almost as if her own individual will is being overridden by the elements of the opera that have now consumed her life. And this is very much illustrated by the very first shot, which is, I made sure to take a note of it, actually. It's very much representative of the whole movie, where Janine is standing to the very left, and then this projected screen that is showing this eye opening up decides to start gazing at her. It's like this world of opera is overwhelming her presence, and it really illustrates that point very well. The visuals in this movie in general, they're understated, but it's not like they don't have a point. It's very voyeuristic in a way that is very typical with Atom Egoyan. It has very much a creeping quality to it. And I find it astonishing that he was able to direct this entire movie that feels like it was more planned out than how it actually was. This movie was made almost entirely because Atom Egoyan was commissioned by the Canadian Opera House to basically remount a version of Salome, and he decided to take this opportunity to make a movie out of it. And it's that type of opportunistic directing that I find really interesting, taking advantage of the circumstances to create an interesting piece of art out of that type of experience. And I would say the performances, you would have to get used to them because they're very much Egoyan. It's a mix. I would say it's very much, it's David Lynch, but the melodrama is not cranked up too high. It's sort of like sub David Lynch in that way, where there is melodrama there. There's very much a reluctance in how the characters speak. There's an awkwardness, but Egoyan's approach to it is sort of more pragmatic, if you get what I mean. But yeah, I like the visuals. I like the performances. The soundtrack, I think, is really good as well. It's very, it reminded me of like a 60s or 50s Hitchcock style soundtrack, where it felt very vintage and it felt sort of playful without really being too cute. It was very reminiscent of a Hitchcock theme where there was drama in it, but there's a lot of theatricality to it too. And it has sort of a creeping quality to it. It feels very theatrical, which is appropriate. And I would say the story development, the plot progression, it sort of catches you off guard because you're not expecting it to go where.
I've been asked to make this personal, so I am.
And it sort of catches you off guard where it goes in places where you don't necessarily expect. And characters make decisions that you don't necessarily think would be all too logical for them, but they're sometimes not dependent on logic. Sometimes they're very much dependent on this idea of conformity or this idea of expression, which Amanda Seyfried mentions multiple times as a theme. This idea of expression versus versus free will, right? The expression versus conformity and expectations. And there's also another theme of boundary pushing in terms of what you are allowed to do as an artist and what are the type of transgressions that are allowed or even moral with mounting productions like these. So it gets into really interesting territory about the nature of individuality and if you can actually separate yourself from a tragedy like this. It has a fantastic final shot, which I'm not going to spoil, but has stayed with me for quite some time. I would really recommend everybody go out to see it in a theater if you still have the opportunity to at a theater near you. I would give this a 9 out of 10. This is probably my favorite movie of the year so far.
If you've got the time and the stomach for it, I've got a story for you. The world you know is gone, consumed by the flames of a great war long ago.
Oh boy. Paul W.S. Anderson. What can be said about this man? He has directed schlock after schlock after schlock, and he somehow manages to keep getting decent budgets for his movies, which just astounds me. Like, I have some mutuals who do actually like his movies. I just don't get it. I really don't. So this is based on a short story by George R.R. Martin. Usually not the one to write a story about the post-apocalypse. He's very much esoteric, but this is a short story of his. It sort of mixes the genre a little bit between post-apocalypse and fantasy. And the rendition of it here by Paul W.S. Anderson, what a mess. It's just like, it's so reliant on you being down with this type of vibe filmmaking, and that's what I'll refer to it as. It's very much vibe in terms of it prioritizes the look, the feel, the atmosphere of the movie instead of the narrative. But the problem, the deficiency with Paul W.S. Anderson, if you will, is that his visuals are so terrible. His visuals are so terrible, and you cannot entirely separate this movie from the script, which is, I mean, I would say like an 11th grader wrote it, 10th grader wrote it, but I feel like a 10th grader would have more novel ideas about how to approach these concepts in a way. Basically, the movie is about the director's wife, Mila Jovovich, starring as a witch who is about to be persecuted and hanged for her crimes. It's never quite clear what her purpose as the scapegoat is. It's never made clear why these people are in power in the first place. It's just everything is previously established. They expect you to have read the short story. Actually, first thing that happens is Dave Bautista talks to camera and says, we're about to go on an epic story. I'm about to relate to you something. It's gonna rile your feathers. And it's just like, oh, this is literally the first scene. The first shot is of an eye. And The whole movie is about Mila Jovovich and Dave Bautista's character, who is a futuristic gunslinger, going to going out to the Lost Lands to find a shapeshifter, because the shapeshifter will allow the queen, the newly bequeathed queen of the Lost Lands, power to dethrone the authoritarians in power, who are also religious zealots. God, this whole thing is a mess. And the chemistry between Mila Jovovich and Dave Bautista, it's almost non-existent to me. It sucks. I mean, first of all, the dialogue isn't helping them, but it's just like, why did you direct them this way, Paul W.S.? Like, it's astonishing that he still can direct movies. He directs actors in the most stilted way possible. His visuals are complete crap. The cable! The action scenes are so boring. They're so boring. They have no interest. Paul W.S. Anderson desperately wants to be another director here. He desperately wants to be like a George Miller. In the previous movies, he desperately wanted to be, I don't know, throw a name out there, James Cameron, I don't know, John Woo. Throw a name out there. That's somebody who Paul W.S. Anderson is trying to imitate, and it's just so shallow. It has none of the depth of these other directors to the action scenes. The editing is completely terrible. Paul W.S. relies a lot on quick cut action scenes, get a cut in here, cut in here, cut in here, cut in here, to basically cover up the bad choreography. And the music is not good. The VFX, I mean, I didn't expect this to be great, because, I mean, look at his previous record with VFX, you will not see a good filmography. But it's just like, oh. And really, in this movie, he's embodying like a discount Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder in the year 2025. Like, why would you try to embody, I mean, Rebel Moon looks better than this, right? But why would you try to embody Zack Snyder at this point? Why? Like, it just baffles the mind. It really does baffle the mind. Yeah, this is just terrible. Just awful. 3 out of 10. Yeah.
So, how'd you like my story?
I still don't know how it ends.
Les temps sont proches.
Sire, vous voici enfin parmi nous.
Ne tardons pas.
Nous livrons bataille pour la cause dont vous êtes la souveraine. Ici, sur la Terre.
Vous avez pas vu un ovni?
Un quoi?
Un ovni.
Les humains sont attachants.
C'est pour cela que nous allons envahir la Terre tout entière.
L'Empire. So this is a movie I'm guessing that none of you have really heard of. It's a science fiction parody action film by director Brendon McDonald, a French filmmaker who has directed the very dark detective film La Humanité and the satirical crime news film France, starring Léa Seydoux. The movie is about two warring factions of extraterrestrials who have landed on Earth. They've already inhabited a few humans, and one side is attempting to basically colonize the planet in order to sustain their race and dominion over the other side, who's trying to destroy the prodigal child that they brought to Earth. This whole movie is really weird. I mean, there's extremely funny portions of it. It's probably one of the funnier movies I've seen recently. Yeah, I mean, the movie looks, it's very much got a sort of intentionally artificial style to it, where the cinematography is sort of overblown, very well exposed. All the colors are poppy. It's got sort of a fairy tale-esque aesthetic to it. Think Star Wars if it took place in a contemporary French village. And you basically have the visual style of this. The whole movie is very much a parody of Star Wars, obviously. I was getting... I was very much getting a feeling of Dune as well, with the whole prophetic chosen one angle and all these inner politics with the alien races as they do battle with each other. It's very weird, and I don't expect any of you to like it, but I feel like it is very much an entertaining time. The performances are pretty great, I would say, for a comedy film. They play it perfectly deadpan, where they take the material seriously enough, and they don't necessarily tip you off to the fact that they know it's goofy. So yeah, performances, good, I would say. There are visual effects in the movie that are laughably bad. Probably the best asset to this movie is the script, aside from the performances. The script is very good at knowing when to pull a punchline, and very good at knowing when to enhance the melodrama to the point of absurdity. I particularly love one scene where we have this very, I guess, erotic confrontation, and it's played out in a very melodramatic, awkward, I would say soap opera type fashion, to the perfect pitch. It's really good. Because the director knows how absurd this is and how pedantic all of the conflicts in the movie are, proving that point with the characters of the bumbling detectives who are just they're making their way around this case, trying to investigate the alien presence on Earth, as it is but they can never figure it out they always observe things in a very down-to-earth manner, and that makes all of the weird and uncanny happenings in this village extra funny. Yeah, I would say it's a pretty good comedy. I don't think you're gonna find anything exceptional here. It's just okay. It's not Dumont's best film, but it is, I would say, a very entertaining time if you do have the opportunity to see this in a theater. And another thing is, I would say the pacing is the best in the first half, so the opposite of the Mickey 17 problem, but the ending was starting to get a little bit tired with just, because they employ the joke of this conflict is going on for so long that it's actually funny how absurdly long this has been elongated for. It pushes that too far to the point where it just loses all comedic value. But the performances are really good, particularly of the two lover alien characters, and then also the emperor type, who is he's very eccentric. He's sort of always enthused about things, but is just really distanced and extremely alien in terms of how he behaves. It's pretty funny. I would give this solid 6 out of 10. 6, maybe 7. I would say it's comparable to The Dead Don't Die, which was that Jim Jarmusch movie from 2019. I would say it's very much an acquired taste, but if you can get on the level of this movie, it's pretty funny if disposable. So that's what I would say.
Bah, elle est où la voiture?
Ouais, là, la voiture qui est partie.
So let's go down all the movies that I reviewed on this episode and then call it a day. Mickey 17, 6 out of 10. I thought it was okay, but it could have used some improvement on the writing and improvement on the pace, especially in the first half. Seven Veils. I'm very enthusiastic about this movie. It's incredibly well directed, confidently performed, and also very enigmatic and also contemplative. It's extremely interesting. In the Lost Lands, no. Terrible. Don't waste your time. L'Empire, check it out if you want a really silly, wacky comedy that's very much taking the importance and significance out of a lot of more serious science fiction. So those are all the movies I covered on today. My name is Brendon McDonald, and I'm signing off. Till next time.